Most men think grooming is optional, as if it's something extra you do when you have time. But the truth is, grooming isn't about vanity, it's about presentation. The way you look tells the world how much you respect yourself. Before you ever speak a word, your grooming speaks for you. Your scent, your skin, your haircut, your posture, these things broadcast confidence or carelessness. Women notice it instantly, but so do employers, strangers, and everyone you meet. A man who looks sharp doesn't just appear attractive, he feels different. His energy changes because he knows he's presenting his best self, and that confidence is magnetic. Grooming isn't just hygiene, it's self-discipline made visible. When you take time to care for your appearance, you're sending a message. I hold myself to a standard. In this video, I'm going to break down why grooming matters more than you think, and how mastering it can completely transform the way women see you, the way men respect you, and the way you see yourself. Point 1. Grooming is the foundation of first impressions. The first reason grooming matters more than you think is because it builds the foundation of every first impression you make. Before you ever open your mouth, people have already decided what kind of man you are based on how you look. Harsh? Maybe, but it's reality. Humans are wired to judge instantly. Within seconds, a woman, a boss, or even a stranger subconsciously evaluates your cleanliness, your posture, your hair, your scent, and your overall presence. And here's the truth. If you look careless, they assume you are careless. If you look sharp, they assume you're disciplined, confident, and capable. Most men underestimate how powerful this is. They think, I don't care what people think. But that's just an excuse for laziness. Grooming isn't about pleasing others. It's about representing yourself with pride. The way you present yourself is a reflection of how much you value yourself. When you step out looking put together, clean haircut, trimmed beard, fresh scent, neat clothes, you communicate one thing without saying a word. I respect myself. And that energy makes people respect you back. Psychologically, grooming influences perception. Studies show that well-groomed individuals are instantly rated as more competent, more trustworthy, and even more attractive. Why? Because grooming communicates discipline. It shows you have control over your life. If you can handle your hygiene and appearance, people assume you can handle responsibility too. That's why a man who looks polished gets more opportunities, professionally, socially, and romantically. Most men fail here because they confuse grooming with vanity. They think it's about obsessing over looks or trying to be pretty. But that's wrong. Grooming isn't about ego. It's about effort. It's about saying, I care enough to show up as my best self every day. That mindset creates momentum. You start walking taller, speaking clearer, and acting more confidently because you already feel ahead before the conversation even begins. The stronger move is to make grooming a daily ritual, not an afterthought. A clean face, a sharp haircut, a signature scent, and attention to details like nails and breath. These small things separate men who get noticed from men who get overlooked. So remember this. Before people hear your words, they see your reflection. Grooming is your silent introduction. And when it's done right, it speaks power, confidence, and self-respect louder than anything you could ever say. Point 2. Grooming shapes your confidence and energy. The second reason grooming matters more than you think is because it directly shapes how you feel about yourself. Most men think grooming is only about looking good to others. But the truth is, grooming transforms how you carry yourself internally. When you look sharp, you feel sharp. When you smell clean, you move differently. When you know your appearance is on point, you radiate a quiet confidence that people can sense without you saying a word. Grooming doesn't just change your appearance, it changes your energy. Here's the truth. Confidence doesn't start in your mind. It starts with how you treat yourself. When you take care of your body, trim your beard, polish your shoes, and wear clothes that fit well, you send a signal to your brain. I'm worth the effort. That small act of self-respect triggers a shift in your posture, your tone, and your presence. Suddenly, you stop slouching. You walk taller, you make eye contact, you speak with certainty. Nothing mystical about it. It's psychology. How you look affects how you act, and how you act affects how people respond to you. Most men fail here because they underestimate this loop. They wake up, throw on whatever's clean, skip basic grooming, and then wonder why they feel invisible, overlooked, or unmotivated. It's not bad luck. It's poor presentation. You can't expect to feel like a king when you treat yourself like an afterthought. Grooming is self-respect in motion. The more disciplined you are with it, the more confident you become, because every small act of care reinforces your sense of worth. Psychologically, this is called embodied confidence. When your physical state aligns with the image of who you want to be, your mind starts believing it. The man who grooms well every day doesn't just look confident, he becomes confident because his reflection matches his inner standards. Women feel that energy instantly, so do other men. You carry an aura that says, I take myself seriously. The stronger move is to make grooming part of your daily mindset, not a task you rush through. When you dress, shave, or style yourself with precision, you build confidence that no compliment or validation can match. So remember this, grooming isn't just outer polish, it's inner power. When you look like a man who respects himself, your energy changes. And when your energy changes, your entire world starts treating you differently. Point 3. Grooming reflects discipline and self-respect. The third reason grooming matters more than you think is because it reveals your discipline and self-respect. You can tell almost everything about a man by how he takes care of himself. A clean haircut, trimmed nails, and a well-maintained beard aren't just details. They're daily proof that you live with structure. Grooming shows whether you respect your own time, your own image, and your own body. And people, especially women, pick up on that instantly. Because when you respect yourself, the world mirrors that respect back to you. Here's the truth, discipline is attractive. Not because it's flashy, but because it's rare. Most men live on autopilot. They wake up, roll out of bed, throw on whatever they find, and go through the day like it doesn't matter. That's not freedom, that's neglect. Grooming takes effort, it takes consistency. It's you saying, even when no one's watching, I still hold myself to a standard. That's the kind of behavior that separates men who drift from men who lead. Psychologically, grooming connects to self-worth. When you invest effort into maintaining your body and your appearance, you're telling your subconscious that you're valuable. It builds a cycle of self-respect. You start to walk differently, talk differently, and think differently. Women notice this immediately. They may not say it out loud, but they can feel when a man has order in his life. And grooming is the first, most visible sign of that order. Most men fail here because they see grooming as something they do only when they have to, before a date, before an interview, before a party. But that's reactive living. Real men groom because it's who they are, not because someone else expects it. When you make grooming a daily ritual, it becomes a silent declaration of your discipline. Every trim, every clean shirt, every polished shoe is a reflection of control. Control over chaos, control over laziness, control over your image. The stronger move is to view grooming as part of your identity, not an obligation, a standard. You don't need to spend hours in front of a mirror, you just need consistency. Because when you look like a man who's in control, people assume you are. So remember this, grooming isn't vanity, it's discipline made visible. And discipline is what builds respect, attraction, and power, long before you ever say a word. Point 4, grooming separates men who blend in from men who stand out. The fourth reason grooming matters more than you think is because it makes you memorable. Most men underestimate how much small details make a difference. A neat beard, clean skin, a subtle cologne, and well-fitted clothes, these aren't just surface-level things, they're signals. They tell the world, I take myself seriously. And when you walk into a room like that, people notice. You stop blending in with the crowd. You become the man whose presence lingers because your appearance reflects clarity, confidence, and class. Here's the truth. The difference between average and unforgettable is often just a few inches of effort. Most men dress and groom to get by. They do the bare minimum, just enough not to look bad. But when you go a step further, when you look sharp even on a normal day, you create a standard that others can't ignore. You don't have to be the most handsome guy in the room. You just have to be the man who looks put together. And in a world full of sloppy, distracted men, that instantly puts you in the top 10%. Psychologically, grooming influences how others rank you socially. It communicates hierarchy. People naturally treat well-groomed individuals with more respect and trust. They assume you're more organized, more confident, and more competent. even before you say anything. That's human nature. Women especially pick up on this. A man who looks refined without overdoing it stands out, not because he's showing off, but because his energy radiates intentionality. Most men fail here because they think standing out requires flash, designer labels, expensive watches, loud colognes. But that's not sophistication. That's insecurity disguised as confidence. True presence comes from subtle mastery, clean grooming, polished shoes, a fresh scent, and clothes that fit your frame. You're not screaming for attention, you're commanding it quietly. The stronger move is to make looking sharp your default. Let it become who you are, not something you do for occasions. Every morning, when you take a few minutes to clean up, style yourself, and present your best image, you're building authority without saying a word. So remember this: grooming is the art of separation. It's what turns you from just another face into a man people remember. And in a world that forgets fast, being unforgettable is your greatest advantage. Point 5. Grooming influences how the world treats you. The fifth reason grooming matters more than you think is because it shapes how people respond to you, everywhere you go. Whether you realize it or not, your appearance sets the tone for how the world interacts with you. Strangers treat you differently. Employers notice you differently. Women feel you differently. Because your grooming creates an energy field, a silent message that says either, I'm sharp, focused, and disciplined, or I'm lazy, careless, and invisible. You decide which message you send every single day. Here's the truth: people don't see who you are on the inside right away. They judge what's in front of them. And that first impression often determines how much respect, trust, and opportunity you receive. Walk into a room with clean skin, fresh breath, neat clothes, and polished shoes, and people instantly assume you're competent. Walk in looking unkempt, and they assume the opposite, even if you're brilliant. That's not vanity, that's psychology. Grooming triggers perception, and perception shapes opportunity. Most men fail here because they underestimate how much details matter. They think, as long as I'm confident, looks don't matter. But confidence and grooming work together. When you look well kept, you feel in control. When you feel in control, you act with confidence. And when you act with confidence, people respond with respect. That's the loop every high-value man understands. Psychologically, grooming activates the halo effect. This means that when people see one positive trait, like cleanliness or style, they subconsciously attach other positive traits to you, such as intelligence, reliability, and leadership. That's why a well-groomed man naturally earns more trust, more attention, and more admiration. Not because of luck, but because his image reinforces the perception of competence and strength. The stronger move is to use grooming as a daily form of silent communication. Every time you step out, your look should say, I take myself seriously. You don't need expensive clothes, you need consistency. Neat hair, clean nails, a subtle fragrance, and clothes that fit right. Small things, massive impact. So remember this: the world treats you how you present yourself. Grooming isn't shallow, it's strategic. It's the difference between being ignored and being respected. Because when you look like a man who values himself, the world has no choice but to value you back. Point 6. Grooming shows you're in control of your life. The sixth reason grooming matters more than you think is because it's a direct reflection of control. When your grooming is sharp, your life feels sharp. The way you take care of yourself mirrors how you take care of everything else: your goals, your money, your relationships, your discipline. A man who's well-groomed communicates order. A man who neglects himself communicates chaos. And women can sense that difference instantly. Because grooming isn't just about style, it's about structure. It's your outer world revealing what's happening in your inner world. Here's the truth: you can't fake control. You either have it or you don't. And grooming exposes it. When your beard is trimmed, your hair is clean, your clothes fit right, and your scent is fresh, it sends a message. I handle my business. You show that you have self-command, that you don't let laziness, excuses, or neglect rule your day. That's power. Not the kind that shouts, but the kind that radiates quietly. Women respect it, men notice it, and opportunities naturally align with it. Psychologically, control equals competence. People trust those who appear in command of themselves. When your grooming is on point, others subconsciously assume you're disciplined in other areas too. Organized with work, emotionally stable, and mentally sharp. It's the same reason why soldiers are trained to maintain perfect uniforms or why elite athletes obsess over routine. Consistency in appearance translates to consistency in mindset. It's all connected. Most men fail here because they treat grooming like a quick fix, not a reflection of lifestyle. They clean up only when they have a reason, an interview, a date, a social event. But a real man doesn't need a reason. He stays ready because excellence is part of who he is. When your appearance is consistently polished, it's not vanity. It's a signal to yourself and the world that you're in control. The stronger move is to make grooming part of your personal discipline, the same way you train your body, train your routine. Every morning, when you take care of your face, hair, and clothes, you're practicing order. And order breeds power, so remember this. Grooming isn't about perfection, it's about proof. Proof that you run your life, not the other way around. A man in control of himself doesn't chase validation, he commands it. And that's what true masculine presence looks like. Point 7, grooming is the language of self-worth. The seventh reason grooming matters more than you think is because it silently expresses how much you value yourself. Before you even speak, your appearance tells the world how you see yourself. A man who takes care of his grooming is saying, without words, I believe I'm worth the effort. And that belief changes everything, from how people treat you to how life responds to you. Because when you look like you value yourself, people mirror that value back to you. Here's the truth. Self-worth isn't something you talk about, it's something you demonstrate. Every time you shave properly, fix your posture, iron your shirt, or take pride in your hygiene, you're affirming your own importance. It's not vanity, it's identity. You're reinforcing the idea that you deserve to look, feel, and live like a man with standards. And women feel that deeply. A man who values himself doesn't need to prove anything. He's not chasing attention, he's commanding it effortlessly through his energy, his scent, his presentation, and his composure. Psychologically, this ties directly to confidence. People can sense when a man truly respects himself versus when he's pretending to. When your grooming is consistent, clean nails, healthy skin, tidy clothes, it sends a signal to your subconscious that you're worth showing up for. That repetition builds a foundation of self-assurance that no external validation can replace. It becomes your armor. Most men fail here because they only groom when they want approval. They clean up for dates, events, or photos. But when no one's watching, they stop caring. That inconsistency kills real self-worth because it means your confidence depends on others. A high-value man doesn't wait for permission to take pride in himself. He grooms for himself because his reflection represents his mindset. The stronger move is to let grooming become your daily affirmation. Every time you take care of your appearance, remind yourself, I'm worth the effort. I'm worth the discipline that belief seeps into your posture, your tone, and your decisions. And over time, people feel it. They don't know why, but they treat you differently. So remember this. Grooming is not about impressing others, it's about honoring yourself. It's the language of self-respect spoken through your image. And when a man masters that language, he doesn't need to say a word. The world already listens. Conclusion. Now you understand why grooming matters far more than you think. It's not about vanity, it's about value. Grooming is the first impression, the reflection of your discipline, the proof of your control, and the language of your self-worth. It shows whether you respect yourself, whether you hold standards, and whether you take pride in being a man of order. Because the truth is, you can't look careless and expect to be taken seriously. The way you present yourself shapes how the world perceives you and, more importantly, how you perceive yourself. Most men live on autopilot. They only groom when they have to, and that's why they never feel powerful. But the men who understand grooming as a ritual, not a chore, carry a different energy. They walk into every room like they belong there. They earn respect before they even speak. So remember this. Grooming isn't about ego, it's about excellence. Every clean shave, every fresh scent, every polished detail tells the world, I take myself seriously. And when you do, life, women, and opportunities respond in kind. Because when you look like a man who values himself, you don't have to chase respect. You attract it.